كيف الحال؟
كيفك your excellency؟ أهلا وسهلا فيك.
شو أخباركم تمام؟
الحمد لله الحمد لله. We are going to be starting soon, but I'm just allowing a couple more minutes for people to continue looking.
Okay. I'm ready.
We're all ready. More familiar names. Tanweer, welcome.
Thank you, Hiba. Thank you very much.
Hello, Hind. Taji, we're good to go. Shall we get started?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So good morning, everyone, again, and thanks for joining us. Just a couple points before we get started. All the audience that's joining us, please, if you could put your mics on mute, just because it could interfere with the quality of the session, and same thing for your camera. The only people that I would love to have their mic and camera on would be, of course, our panelists. With that said, again, thank you and welcome to our webinar titled Innovative Tools Adopted in Response to COVID-19 by the Registration and Services Sector of Dubai Land Department. My name is Hiba Jaber. I'm a trainer and a consultant for Dubai Real Estate Institute. Dubai Real Estate Institute is the educational arm of Dubai Land Department. I want to welcome our distinguished guests this morning. We have with us His Excellency Majid Al-Marri. He's the CEO of Real Estate Registration and Services Sector. Sheikh Jum'a bin Thani Jum'a Al-Maktoum, Head of Evaluation Department. Mr. Ahmed Amran Al-Shamsi, Director, Registration and Services Department. Mr. Abdullah Ahmed Al-Siri, Director of Customer Happiness Department. And Mr. Muhammad Khudr Addah, Director of Survey Department. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. I will start by addressing His Excellency Majid Al-Marri. Majid, it was reported that DLD, in cooperation with Smart Dubai and the Department of Finance, launched remote payment services to facilitate the process of real estate registration through the Dubai Pay portal. This step is part of the measures taken by Dubai Land Department to reduce the spread of COVID-19 and maintain the health and safety of its customers. The market welcomed this initiative and commended your department on the ability to adopt new innovative technologies to cater to the sector's needs during COVID-19. I myself learned about this firsthand through my interaction with the real estate stakeholders during DREI talks and many other webinars that I've conducted over the past 3 months. So my question to you is, can you please elaborate on this initiative and brief us on the number of transactions that continued to take place during the lockdown?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran الدكتورة هبة. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Dubai Land Department and myself and our team in the registration and real estate service. We are here to help the sector introduce new initiatives, new innovative initiatives as well. Let me give you an idea what's been done from March till now during the period when we get the directions to start working from home. We immediately put a plan with the team to work remotely, working from home. So I would like to assure you 100% of our procedures being adopted as online. We have our smart applications, Dubai REST application, even the 25 real estate trustee and services been working online and remotely. We start that in March, and I would like to mention one of the biggest procedure which we start to adapt online is the sale procedure. We during the last 3 months, we did real estate transaction of nearly 20 billion dirhams. Dubai Land Department finish 100,000 online transactions during this period. So let me elaborate more on that type of procedure which we have, and maybe later my colleague Humaid, also from the registration, will add things. But this is a major change, I think, in the real estate registration. So you can buy, sell online through video conference. Of course, we take into consideration all the security, making sure the buyer and seller, the identification. We send them an OTP, the one-time password, to confirm the transaction. We have a trust account. So before completing the transaction, they should deposit the amount in that bank account, which held by DLD, and after completing, we will distribute all the money with the certain currency to the buyer. Even the fees will be taken from that account. So this is something big change, I can say, worldwide. I'm proud to say this, because you cannot do a sale transaction legally. You have to go and sign. Now the courts, different departments in Dubai adapt the online transactions. So even the court hearing through video conferencing.
Right.
So this is a big change. We are after the reopening of the offices, we still have this type of process for people still abroad, and we will continue enhancing this one and make it better and better. It's good to mention that that our sale transaction finish in the same day. It takes minutes if everything is ready. So I would like to share with you, as I mentioned, the good numbers we are having and the expectation of the real estate transaction coming up. We enter into Ramadan, summer, and we have the COVID-19. This all affecting this, but thanks God, with the new procedure, the online, the government department adapting and DLD doing through our online transaction. We even give our call center, we give them authority to finish transaction through the phone. So you are only a call away from finishing your transaction.
And this is, to be honest with you, Majid, that's all great initiatives. Like I said, I kind of witnessed that firsthand as I was interacting. You know, people, COVID-19 hit us out of nowhere. Nobody expected it. Nobody really prepared for it because nobody knew about it. And just to see how lots of, government entities, of course, including Dubai Land Department, including your specific sector, the registration and services sector, being able to offer such services was very well welcomed and appreciated, of course, by all the stakeholders. Having said that, I do have a question for you because I come across it a lot. When you're talking about the good numbers and the positive numbers that continue to take place in terms of transactions throughout the lockdown, I know that part of the government initiatives included the waiving of the penalties or the fees associated with late registration. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that initiative by Dubai government? And do you foresee this continuing till the end of 2020? Can you give us a bit more information on that?
You know, government of Dubai announced incentives for the investors and for the client and customers. Even what happened with the bank, what's happened with the banks, I mean, and a lot of other procedure. So with the Land Department, we announced to waive the late registration fine. So to allow people to come and register, even if they are late, there is penalties. It will be waived, but we request you to come and register. This been announced in mid of March till end of this month. Okay, so this is one of the biggest thing that. So this is one of the biggest thing we announced as incentives for the investors.
So this is, just to reiterate, it will end of June. So this is not continuing till the end of 2020.
Yeah, till now we have it till of June. So I advise the developers. We send a circular already for everyone. We announced it in our social media. That end of June, this will end. So we still have maybe 20 days more. So don't miss the time.
That's absolutely, and of course we advise everyone who own a property in Dubai to register their property in their name, because that's the only way you can protect your rights to that property. That's the only legal way. You are spending a lot of money. That's a material transaction, and as such, if you want to protect your right to that property, you want to make sure that you register it with the proper authority, which is of course Dubai Land Department. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being with us and for your time. I hope you can stay on because I'm sure we're going to have plenty of questions for you. With that, I'd like to move on to my second guest with, of course, the Registration and Service Department. Ahmed, good morning to you. Ahmed, can you hear me?
Good afternoon, actually.
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, it is. Thank you. How are you? And good to have you.
Fine. Thank you very much.
Ahmed, what I want to just kind of have you take us into more a bit detail. So Majid told us about, of course, the initiative that was adopted by your department, recognizing the need for an innovative tool to continue with the registration process so people can continue to transact during, of course, the lockdown and beyond. So can you give us a bit more details on the new, if you want to call it maybe digital registration process for the transfer of property ownership, bit more info on the video conferencing, just because I personally continue to get a lot of questions on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, as Mr. Majid said regarding the COVID-19, the situation, and the challenge that we have to finish the transactions without the seller and buyer signing the selling contract and coming physically to the Dubai actually, or to the trustee office. And because of the situation of the closing airport, so nobody can come and visit Dubai to finish the transaction. So one of the method that the Land Department just offering to the owners, that they can do the transactions through the video conference. and this video conferencing will be recorded, so we can our auditing can check the record. Let us give you a brief little bit on how the process we start with the trustee office.
I would appreciate it. Yes.
Okay, so actually the request is starting from the trustee office. So the buyer or seller or the brokers can start the process with them by sending an email with the all details of the property document it's need to do the transactions.
So from deed to NOCs to, of course, passport copies or any type of
yes,
item.
actually we put more requirements based on this new process that we want the IBAN numbers for the accounts. We want the bank's details. If it's inside the Dubai or outside the account, SWIFT codes. These certain of the requirements for the process, the new process. So once they send this process by email to the office, the trustee office, they are starting checking the documents. If it's clear and the selling price is fine, everything is fine, then they give him the approval to what? To send the amount to the escrow account we put for the transactions.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I have to ask my questions.
Okay.
So when you say they check the documentation, of course, verification, 100%, the price, when you say they check the price, as in, is it in line with the market value, or do they have to coordinate with the valuation department? Can you give us a little bit more insight on that?
Actually, we are checking the price. We are not saying that we are, see, it's a market, it's a demand. So sometimes we can sell it, for example, 100,000, sometimes 120, 100. If it's in the same margin of the area's selling price, it's fine. But sometimes if the seller, he have a case, for example, he has to sell today. So might be he will sell it 30%, 40% less. He don't have any problem to solve his problem actually. But in our department, as a land department, we have auditing after us regarding the prices and the land department fees. It has to be in the margin. So actually we are not going through that. We are not controlling the people, that not let them to sell whatever they want. But actually we have a minimum prices. I mean, we cannot go less than this. If you want to sell it, you can, but our record, our registrations, it has to be with the same same level of the prices.
You're looking at the range of prices based on the property, location, certain descriptions. The seller is free to sell at whatever price he wants. However, the registration fees, the 4%, will always be out of the market value and not as basically the price that is agreed to by the seller and the buyer.
If the seller and the buyer agreed with the price, it is in the market. We are not looking and I'm not asking even why the price is. But if we can see the price is it's too low, then we have to ask, yes, sure. why it's happened like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, now you can go on. Sorry, but okay. I have to interrupt and ask questions because all the audience would come after me for that.
Okay. So once they transfer the buyer, he transferring the selling price and the land department fees. So the trustee will send the procedure to the land department to let the auditor checking. So they will check all details of what they are sending, and they will check also the video call recorded. If the questions is asked the same, if the price is clear, if all the details Q&A which we put already for the auditor to ask the seller or the buyer to ask them if it's clear, so we pass the procedure so they can get the title deed and the money will be transferred to the seller account.
Okay, so the registration trustee, all the centers are equipped now with the video conferencing tools?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Wonderful, wonderful. And that kind of takes me, Ahmed, to the second question. I want you to elaborate a bit more, again, something that Mr. Majid has addressed, the trust account or the escrow account, the money kept with. Tell us a little bit more. Is this a Dubai Land Department account, or is it kept with an escrow agent like a bank? Give us more info on that.
Actually, this escrow account belong to the land department.
Okay.
So it's a fully controlled by the land department.
Okay, so if I was the buyer, I would transfer, you know, that money. You will provide me, of course, with the detail of the escrow account. I will send that money to Dubai Land Department's escrow account or trust account, let's call it. And then based on the verification of the documentation and auditor's review and everything being in place, that's when potentially when the property is ready to be transferred, the money will be transferred to the seller based on, as I mentioned, or as I understand, the currency based on where he lives, right?
Exactly.
What about, for example, agencies fees, like the broker's fees? Does it get also sent to that trust account, or is that done separately?
They have the choice. If they want us to give it to the broker, we can. But if they want to do it outside of the escrow account, they can do it. It's easy, and we give them the options to do it.
You're giving them all the options, and that's including, of course, DLD fees, any extra administrative fees, or even the registration trustee fees.
The registration trustee fees, we let the trustee to take it directly from them.
Okay, all right, perfect. And is there, because I've been asked this question, so, you know, are there additional fees associated because of the money being transferred to this specific bank account? Are there extra admin fees that are charged for that specific service?
No.
No. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. All right, go on. I'm sorry, I've been interrupting you as you were going.
No, it's okay. It's good to clarify this to the audience.
Yes.
Okay, after when they transfer the money, when the procedure will finish, so they will get the title deed by email, and the money will be transferred to the seller.
And about, in terms of, I want to say, duration, how long do you think this process would take?
Actually, from 5 to 10 working days.
Okay.
It depends on the account. If it's the account, it's in the UAE, in Dubai, or inside the UAE region of Dubai, UAE, it's fine. It will be faster than sending it outside. So we are giving maximum 10 working days. Actually, this period of time, we get it from the finance, because you know, it's transferring from bank to bank. If it's inside the Dubai, it's easy. Outside, we are saying the maximum it's 10 working days. Might be 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, but we cannot say exactly. But we give him the margin that not more than 10 working days.
Ahmed, I have a comment here. Just it's a good comment, so I figured I might as well share it. I have, I believe, Rami. Welcome, Rami. Rami says, I'm a broker who has completed 3 of these remote transfers when it was in its testing phase. And I must say both parties were very happy with the process. So thanks for acting so fast. Thank you, Dubai Land Department. It truly was in line with the city's spirit of adapting to change. The only thing we faced was that the transaction was slow. It took weeks to complete.
Yes.
How has this been enhanced recently?
This is right. Actually, at the beginning of the video conference call process, we might get little bit of the delay of transferring the selling price amount, because this is the first time we are doing this, because sometimes based on the currency, so transferring with the dirhams to dollars this is facing delay little bit of the transferring money, and also the requirements for the IBANs and the details. Sometimes one numbers is wrong. It's take time because we have to send it again. So the procedure, it's because at that time, at the beginning, we don't have any trustee office open. So all the transaction has to be through the online transfer. So the numbers of transactions also, it's might be high. So the finance department, they are trying to finish everything in the same time. But, you know, at the beginning, it's little bit not clear. But now we put the procedure direction, we put the guidelines, and everything, inshallah, will be enhanced in these days. And they will see that in the procedure.
And I have no doubt, again, recognizing exactly what you're saying, Ahmed, nobody prepared for this. So recognizing that there are, you know, departments like yours and other government agencies, that they were able to not stop working. You know, lots of other countries, they had to stop working. We did not stop working. We had to adapt and adopt and create innovative tools. Yes, they might have not been quick, may not have been, error-free, but yet we reacted. With that said, I want to take you to my next question, if you don't mind, Ahmed. This is, again, a very common question. Recognizing that we have a lot of investors outside of Dubai, Dubai appeals to international investors. And now that we have this digital approach in place, lots of people love it simply because it doesn't require people to travel anymore. And it takes away the headache of using a POA. And why do I say a headache of using POA? Because I'm sure you've heard your own share of many people saying it was just a hassle dealing with, an intermediary. He wasn't responsive. He wasn't cooperative. So do you think this specific process will continue to be as an option? I'm not saying replacing the old way of doing business, but will continue to be an option for people to utilize, specifically for international investors who do not want to come to Dubai to take care of a transaction?
Actually, as per what we see, how the owners is happy about this procedure, and now we put this procedure and we will implement this as one of the method that for transactions, and we will enhance this to keep it in the future for the one of the services for the selling property.
So it is a service that's here to stay, which is good to know.
Yes.
Perfect. I do have, okay, this one, I know what you're gonna say. So I've been asked, are there any intentions for Dubai Land Department to reduce or waive registration fee? So I'm gonna reframe this question because I kind of know the answer. So I guess there's been talks about not necessarily waiving the transfer fees, but linking them to the value of the property. So instead of paying a flat 4%, it will be based on, between a certain range, you'll pay, I don't know, 2. Between that range, it'll become 3, 4. Tell us, is that true? Is this potentially something that could happen, if you don't mind?
Actually, we don't have any idea about these things, but still might be, but we don't have anything yet from the government that it will be linked to the selling price amount. Actually, we don't have anything yet.
Okay, all right. So hopefully that is something that will be considered. I know part of the many dialogues that we usually conduct as part of Dubai Real Estate Institute's innovation labs. I'll be honest with you, Ahmed, this is definitely a comment that is always being brought up. And again, not necessarily reducing the fees, only because they are pretty competitive with the rest of the world, but linking it potentially could promote a little bit more of a positivity in the market. Before I also let you go, so I can start with my next guest, I have a question quickly, Ahmed, from Jess. Jess says, could you please look into bank charges, as all of our transfers which were completed remotely have been received less bank charges from DLD escrow account. It's small, but they add over the year when doing hundreds of transfers. We could consider that, Ahmed, but I don't know if you want to add something to that.
We will consider that, and we will check how we can solve these cases.
Well, thank you so much, Ahmed. And again, you're not off the hook. Please stay tuned. But with that, I will move to our second or third, actually distinguished panelists with us this afternoon, not this morning. And that's, of course, Sheikh Jum'a, good morning to you, or good afternoon to you. You're with me?
Good morning, Eva. I don't know
Sheikh Jum'a, you can hear me?
Yes, I could hear you.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, how are you?
I need to ask you questions about valuations. And the question is, were valuations being conducted during the lockdown?
It was operating full throttle, 100%. We have the procedures were up and running, nothing slowed down, except few cases were delayed, but most 99.9% everything is running up and running.
So pretty much nothing was suspended, nothing stopped.
Nothing whatsoever.
As normal. And where did you see the, I want to say maybe the majority of the request for valuations being requested from banks or individuals?
At the moment, individuals. The last couple of months, individuals, court cases, and auditing purposes.
Okay. I do have here a question. Thanks for the webinar. Question to the speakers. The value of an asset is dictated by the current market condition, that is demand and supply. So on what basis does the valuation department value its assets, or is it undervalued? So basically, I think in other words, are you seeing a reduction maybe or a devaluation of the real estate property, recognizing the current market conditions that we are going through?
Could you go back could you ask?
So the question is, they're saying the value of the property is dictated by supply and demand. So are you seeing a reduction in the actual value of the properties, recognizing the current market condition?
With COVID, it affected the market a bit.
Yeah.
More or less 5 to 10%. But this is normal, and it's healthy for the market to readjust the prices. And I feel, from my own point of view, I feel optimistic that this correction in the prices of the properties would bring back more investors into the UAE and Dubai.
Yes, as you mentioned, Sheikh Jama, it is a healthy kind of cycle. Pretty much all real estate sectors in the world, they go through that cycle. And of course, COVID-19, again, if anything, I think a lot of people recognize how important of an investment their own home is, or their real estate property is, because it has forced us to not only have our home a place to go and sleep in at the end of the day, but we're now working from home. We are teaching our kids from home. We are pretty much, becoming chefs in our home. So if anything, I do see that there will be a trend of people looking into potentially upgrading, or maybe, moving from one property that they've rented into a better property. And with prices being affordable and more competitive, I think that would be beneficial and will promote a huge demand in the real estate market in Dubai. Do you agree with me on that?
Yes, I do agree with you.
Thank you. I'm trying to see if I have any questions in terms of valuations. I will definitely ask you, if you don't mind, to stay with us.
Certainly.
For now, I really appreciate your time. I'm probably will have any questions for you. With that said, I'd like to introduce or move over to our next speaker, Mr. Abdullah Ahmed Asiri, Director of Customer Happiness. Good afternoon, Abdullah.
Yes, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you for your time and for joining us this afternoon.
No problem.
I have a question for you. So, lots of people, they don't know exactly what your department is all about and how important the role of your department was, especially during the past 3 months. So, can you give us an overview on the function of your department and the different sectors?
Well, actually, since let's say 3 months back, we had a meeting with our employee to find out and set up a way to help customer to do their transaction without coming to land department. Actually, it was through the call center. So what we did is we communicate first of all with our employee through WhatsApp for the procedures and Microsoft Teams for the meeting, to set a meeting with their head of department and with me. We create email for the section, so the call center can send us an email for the document of the employee to do, let's say, a transaction of issuing site plan, letter to witness consent, updating their title deed. We were receiving everything through the email, the call center. And our employee went over the document and update the information of the customer themselves. And we try also to push the customer to use the application. And they were increasing actually.
An issue. Again, I'm going to ask please all attendees, if you don't mind, to mute your mics, because this affects the quality of our webinar. I'm sorry, back to you. If you don't mind, can you repeat what we were discussing initially, Mr. Istiri?
You want me to start all over again or continue?
No, we're talking about your employees were able to get some documentation by email, and then if you don't mind continuing from that point on.
We were receiving actually, first of all, from the call center, the information of the client to update his information, because we were taking the chances to use the Dubai REST and encourage the customer to use it. So it will be more, let's say, as a healthier, by payment, by receiving, will be everything generated automatically. Our employee actually, for the whole department, worked as a one group, updating the information of the client, so they can use the Dubai REST application, which first of all, we had a trouble of updating because we don't know if this is the correct client is sending his document or not. So the employee, they were crossing check the document through our saved data with the one that has been sent from the call center. If it's correct, then we go ahead and update their mobile number and email, so they can use the application for issuing site plan, doing lost title deed, evaluation, using the Dubai REST for the Ijari also.
Yes, yes. So you've seen a trend whereby a lot of the stakeholders, the real stakeholders in Dubai, were trying to utilize some of those type of, if we want to call them apps or technological tools, in order to continue doing certain type of transactions. So there was a lot of questions specifically about the Dubai REST, right?
Yes, yeah. First of all, they couldn't use the Dubai REST. Dubai REST. So the call center was explaining to each of them, whoever is calling, to ask about the application. How can we get reach of land department? They were telling them to use the Dubai REST. So once they download the Dubai REST, then they can follow with the updating of their information. Once it is correct, then they can go ahead and apply for their procedure. Once it is not correct or it's not running, they direct it to our employee to update their information. Let's say as an email and phone number, which is the most important thing in land department for the client to apply for any procedure.
Okay, wonderful. And what type of other services are they offered by your within your department?
We were receiving everything through email actually. So there were zero visit to the land department the last 3 months. This is for the client. For the companies, they were sending an email to the email that we created to our employee, our department exactly. So some of them were directing through call center, others that we used to deal with them, they sent to our straight email.
Okay.
We receive everything through the email. We do the procedure, we do the payment through the OTP number that we created recently or by the transfer to the bank. And then we send back the full document, the site plan, the title deed, the receipt to the client himself to his email.
Wow. Okay. And was that a service that you continued to provide even after the registration trustee and the registration and the service trustee centers opened up? You know, for a while after they opened up fully, there was a time when they were opened up at partial capacity, I believe at 30%.
Yes, actually, we're still doing the same and providing the same service, receiving and sending the same document as an email to be received. Actually, and some of the clients, they were, you know, arguing, we need the original title deed. And we convinced them that now it is all auto-generated. And by the Dubai REST, he can log into the Dubai REST. If there is any transaction happen to his property, he will be notified as an email and WhatsApp, email and SMS.
And that's great to know. And to be honest, I received a lot of questions pertaining to the digital signatures. You know, a lot of people were worried, is that something that has a legal kind of support to it? Is it going to stand in court? And the answer to that would be yes, right? I mean, now pretty much all the documentations, official or not, are being sent through this type of electronic channels, and they are as good as your good old hard copy, correct?
Yes, yeah, you are right. And also we put a sentence in the title that it is auto-generated and the information is stored in our database.
Okay, okay. One question to you, and this is a bit more to recognize the need for a lot of people to know the difference between the registration trustee service and the service trustee service. Can you tell us a little bit about what sort of functions do each of the sectors do or perform?
The real estate services trustee, we do the same procedure that we are doing in land department. The real estate services, which is issuing site plan, letter of whom it may concern, evaluation, inheritance procedure. But the other trustee offices, they are doing transaction of ownership change. Let's say the gift, resale, this kind of procedure, where you change the owner of the property in the title deed.
What about mortgage registration? Where do you advise people to get that done?
Mortgage, it is up to the client. He can do it through the bank or the trustee.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I have something to commend you on here. It's a nice message that I'd like to read to everyone. I have used the Dubai Rest platform to renew my Ijari online. It was absolutely seamless. I highly recommend it. It's especially convenient to create sale contracts. Any chance to have tenancy contracts to be done on the application in the future? What do you think?
Well, it is great to hear that. We are working on it.
We are definitely working on it. And I think it's a matter of time before everything becomes done digitally, right?
You're right, absolutely right.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for your time, Mr. Siri. Rami, again, thanks for your questions. With that, and before I take on more questions, I want to move to my last panelist today, which is, of course, Mr. Mohammed Khudr Al-Dah, Director of the Survey Department. Good afternoon, Mohammed. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good. Thank you, Dr. Hiba.
Thank you. Thanks for having joining us today. And I'm going to get straight to the question. What are services that are provided by your department, by the service department? Can you please elaborate?
Yeah, we provide a lot of services. Most of it is on the back end. And maybe some of the customers will not see it. So one of the typical ones is issuing maps. So we issue maps or drawings for land, for units, for we add parkings, we remove parkings, and we deal with the technical and engineering side of things for land and buildings.
And technologies. I mean, since you deal with technical, now we've been seeing this whole trend of, in a way, all these technologies were in place before COVID-19, but I think if anything, COVID-19 just simply gave us a little bit of an incentive to put them, you know, and make them operational. So for your department, what technologies do you utilize, or have you used technologies recognizing the need for them during the COVID-19 era?
We haven't really changed much in terms of technology. You will be disappointed to hear, because most of the technology is there. So our work is shared between office work and site work. For the site work, we streamlined it in such a way to allow us to work more efficiently and less time, and to do things in a more organized fashion and more efficient fashion. And for the office work, we're simply doing it wherever the staff want them to be. So we actually even have staff outside of the country doing their normal DLD work.
So let me just, I'm going to be a little bit more curious, because I know people are going to ask me about that, and they're going to say, why didn't you ask Mohammed about it? So I'm going to ask Mohammed. So are you kind of indirectly responsible for the site visits of buildings when it comes to determining or determining the service charge index or the rental index? Can we hold you a little bit responsible for that?
No, not in any way, shape, or form. We offer surveys like services. So أو خدمات مساحة, and it's offered for various owners or tenants, etc., as needed. So when a project is being built, for example, it's being monitored by our team, and it's reflected on the Mashroui section of the Dubai Rest app on the website. So we can tell you that the project is in progress or it's slowing down, etc. When our colleagues in valuation, for example, are doing a valuation, we would then receive an instruction from them to survey the property. So that will then be reflected in the price or value that's given, and various other departments and teams that we work with. We are also working on a survey, which is called the BCS survey, which will ultimately give star ratings to the buildings in Dubai. And that will later be used to determine service charges and rental increases, etc. So we're a data provider rather than a decision maker.
So in a way, the data that you're going to provide eventually will play part in determining certain indices, where we're talking about service charges or rental index, or, you know, recognizing that a lot of times when we're buying properties off plan, the payment is linked to the construction phase. So this is technically where you guys come in, you go, your technical team, you assure that, yes, you know, the developer has reached this milestone, and as such, we would allow him to start billing for the next phase. Am I right in that?
That's correct. So what we do, like I mentioned earlier, we provide information, and the information can be in the form of progress on site or status report for a property. So sometimes people try to overvalue or undervalue their assets. So we try to give a more accurate representation for the actual decision maker to decide on that. So we do not decide, but we provide the information.
So let me ask you this question. Came up in our chat box, even though that might have been a good question as well for Sheikh Rama. How does valuation department deal with current market uncertainty and risk in their valuation?
I mean, our committee is what shall I call them? We are conservative.
Okay.
In putting, we think conservative in putting the prices. We don't go higher than the market. We don't go lower than the market. We try and do our best to give you the fair market value for the property.
Got it. So, and of course, again, taking into consideration that where we are in the, I have, Muhammad, just one more question for you, if you don't mind, that also came up specifically to you. What tasks did you mostly focus on during COVID-19?
We focused on mainly connectivity and to stay connected to our customers and to the staff. So it was a communication maybe exercise more than a technical work. So we just made sure that all the staff were safe and all of the work was going ahead. And like business as usual for us, to be honest. We haven't seen a drop or an increase in work. It's been quite stable, actually.
That's good to know. Thank you, Muhammad. Ahmed, if you don't mind, I have a question for you from the audience. Can you tell us if there are new projects that are being registered by developers? So new off-plan for sale projects that are being registered by developers. Ahmed, are you with me? I think Ahmed might have me on mute. Okay, I'll move on to another question. And that's another question for Ahmed, or maybe His Excellency Majid can answer that question. Saji, can you get in touch with our panel? Yes. Hello. Okay, I have a question for you regarding off-plan new projects with developers. Are you seeing a lot of developers registering new projects for sale off-plan?
Yes, as I mentioned, during the last 3 months, we have good number of transactions we reached to 20 billion. So it's both, it's off plan and ready real estate. Especially in the first month, comparing the numbers, we have a huge increase in the off plan as well. So developers didn't stop registering. Also, I heard a few of them saying that they have better sales in the same period last year.
Comparing it to last year, correct. I've seen
last year. So yeah, business is good.
What about new projects from a developer standpoint? So not necessarily selling it. I don't know if that goes under your department, but do we see a lot of new developments being announced by developers and registered for approval by Dubai Land Department prior to sale?
I think Engineer Mohammed could answer this question, since they are visiting these projects. If we have in this period the new, or they are visiting the old projects.
I have a lot of numbers for you, but Hiba didn't ask me. So.
Okay, go. Hey, go.
I'm ready for it.
Go for it.
Allah, Ahmed is back. Do you want to ask Ahmed something, or should I continue?
I want you to go through the numbers first, and then I will go on and ask plenty of questions for Ahmed. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I you know, we love our numbers and keeping them to ourselves. So I can share with you some numbers now.
Please.
So this is the stuff I've dug out based on the survey team of the projects registered in the escrow system. So all of these units have been sold off plan. So you know, there is more regulation with regards to these projects. We do not register things which are self-financed or in the non-freehold areas. So just to give you an idea, for the site visits, we've had roughly 16,000 units handed over in the first 5 months of the year. So that's January till end of May. So 16,000 units. So the units will include a villa or an apartment or an office, something which has an independent title deed. So Ahmed's team will be busy issuing 16,000 title deeds in this time. And that's through the registration team, which is led by my colleague Amira. And those are for 49 projects. So they would have 49 escrow accounts, etc. And in total, we did about 419 site visits for that. So obviously, typical project will have maybe 4 to 6 site visits. It will go from 0% up to 100%. When it reaches 100, we will then issue the title deed. So that's this year. And then you're gonna maybe ask me, how does it compare with last year? Because by itself, it's useless. So this is just simply just numbers I've been playing around with. So 2019, the whole year, okay, we've done 1,064 site visits. Out of those 1,064, 88 projects were handed over. And a project can be anything from a building or 2 buildings or a villa compound. So we've seen Amar do maybe 1,000 villas or so, and then you might have 1 or 2 towers in the business bay. So 1,000 site visits, approximately 88 projects, and just under 26,000 units. That's what last year. So we're kind of same trend as last year, to be honest. I haven't seen a drop or an increase, but I can try later and go and dig up the same period last year. But I think that's too, I don't like to do that, because you have certain things like certain news, or when you have cityscape or something, you have, you know, peaks and troughs. So when you look at a period, it's more accurate. And I think we're on target. So probably by the end of the year, we'll touch on 1,000 visits, and we'll probably hand over the same 20 or 25,000 units.
Do you think in terms of like new projects coming in, there will be a little bit more of control on that just for the remaining of the year, and kind of want to see how the property market plays out for 2021?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So I'm talking about completely new projects. So nothing that is under construction or that's being handed over, but just new projects altogether. Because, you know, even before COVID-19, there was a talk about, of course, the committee that was established in order to review and make sure that there's a proper mechanism in place before approving new projects, so that we don't have an oversupply in the market. Do you foresee this being affected somehow by COVID-19, or the committee's role is gonna continue as it was even from before COVID-19?
I might not be the right person to answer that, but I would say that it would be a matter of supply and demand. So we have a lot of supply at the moment. So I don't see the financial feasibility of launching new projects at the moment. But if it's registered, then we go and inspect it. That's how it works.
Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you, Mohammed. Ahmed, are you with me? You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question for you. Some of the country is not accepting POA from other countries to people residing in UAE. Procedure or alternative, can we tell them now they can operate by using the digital transfer tool?
Exactly. No need for POA now.
No need for POA. That's
so they can do it directly from the video conference.
That's good to know. I have some VAT questions, but I'm not sure who would be the right person to answer that for me. Let me see. Okay, special thanks. Also, there are lots of people thanking you for coming out here today and sharing your insights. Lots of people want this session to be recorded. It is recorded. They needed access to it. You will have access to it. It will be posted on the Dubai Real Estate Institute website. We will keep you posted. Trying to see, I have a question from Laura. Laura, I think, Ahmed, that could be a question for you. The fees that are currently being charged are not in line with institutional investors. And if we want to attract them to Dubai, these fees need to be reduced and to be in line with international standards. So I'm getting a request to address this with you, Ahmed, if you don't mind. It goes back to the talk about the, I guess, registration fees and
fees. Okay, we can put it. We can give a recommendation on that, but same as what I already told, that nothing yet we got from the government actually, or the decision maker regarding the fees, that it has to be changed, or it might be with the same linked with the selling price or something else yet.
So it's recommended, but we kind of have to. We don't
exactly. We have to think about it, but still we don't have anything, really to ensure that people get.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Can I just support my younger brother Ahmed Amran?
مرحبا الشيخ.
مرحبا يا ابو حميد، ايش حالك يا حميد؟
الله يطول عمرك، سلمك، الله يبارك.
We are if you compare our charges, Dubai charges, the transfer fee charges, I think we are the lowest in the world.
About the percentage.
The percentage, we are the lowest.
Yes.
I think in the UK they take something like 18% or 20%. It depends on the value of the property. Still,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right, this is what I'm seeing a lot of people commenting on in terms of the trend, rather than reducing it, but maybe linking it to the value of the property. But
I mean, we are still regarded as one of the lowest charging departments, registering departments in the world.
In the world, sure.
But inshallah, I hope they revise it or they see into it again.
Inshallah. One last question, and again, that would be for you, Ahmed, if you don't mind. And with that, of course, we can end the session. I learned from the mortgage consultant, and that's from Naruz. Naruz says, I learned from the mortgage consultant that the banks are hesitant to proceed with the remote transfer, In this case, the remote transfer will work for cash buyer and not buyer opting for finance. Can you please clarify this point? That's a very good question.
Both. The remote can be used for the cash and can be used also for the mortgage or finance buyer. So both of them, they can use this video conference call.
So maybe the banks initially, they were hesitant about it, but now that it's becoming more of a proper procedure from A to Z and they have more knowledge of it, that they are utilizing it?
Because actually the more challenge is about the seller to sign. The buyer already, if he has finance, he has to be in Dubai to signing all the contracts and the documents for the bank. So the main concern is about the seller to sign. This is the most important thing for us and the most challenge in this situation. So to do it in cash or to do it in mortgage, it will be fine, because I think the most challenges, and it's the seller to sign the procedure.
I agree. Well, with that, because we can go on and on and on, I can tell you there's lots of questions. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to get into, but I personally want to thank all of my panelists for giving me the time today. I can't tell you how super excited about this session I was. I was honored to have you with us. I know there's going to be demand for many more, so I hope you guys are prepared to have more sessions. I want to, of course, thank you individually. I want to thank His Excellency Majid for being with us today and for your time. I want to thank Engineer Mohammed Dah for being with us, Hamid, of course, Sheikh Jum'a, and of course Abdullah Ahmed Assiri, and all the people that helped us in making this possible. Back office support from Saji with Dubai Real Estate Institute, of course, to Himanshu, my buddy and my backbone to prepare for this webinar. All the participants, of course, brokers, different stakeholders, thanks for being with us today. And like I said, any questions about getting access to this webinar, feel free to contact Dubai Real Estate Institute Administration team. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.
شكرا هبة. شكرا.
شكرا لكم. شكرا.
شكرا. مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
شاكر لك تعاونك، ما قصرتي يا هبة، مشكورة.
شكرا لكم. شكرا. بتشكركم عن جد. Lots of knowledge today, so thank you.
Thank you, Hiba. Have a nice day.